pirates! Okay, so today I'm doing a specific recommendation video about pirates. Pirate books. I recently did a recommendation video and one of the questions that came up a lot was books about pirates. So I gave you a few quick recommendations for pirates, but I decided I love pirates a lot. You guys clearly like them too. Let's do a whole video. Let's talk about a lot of pirate books. I have three categories, sort of, that I'm going to talk about here. I have pirate books that I've really enjoyed. I have pirate books that I kind of enjoyed, but some things didn't work for me, but you may like them more than I did. And then I have pirate books that I plan on reading soon, so let's talk. I am going to mention some of the recommendations that I gave in the other video, but I'll actually go a little bit more in depth into them, as well as recommending books that maybe you haven't heard me talk about on this channel, because I did dig into books that I read a long time ago. We're going to start off with some classics. First book I'm going to briefly mention is going to be Peter Pan. This is kind of loosely a pirate book. We obviously have a pirate antagonist that Peter and the kids face off against, but I would also I would submit to you that Peter is a pirate of sorts himself. He may not have a pirate ship himself, but he does initiate fights a lot of times. His morality is gray at best. He is the one that is usually after Hook, and the reason Hook is after him is because he cut off his hand because he felt like it one time. He has no problem needlessly killing because he's bored. He and his lost boys are, well, his lost boys are there with him, but he threatens them a lot. And also there is a line in the book that says that if the lost boys grow up, he kills them. So they stay young, so they don't die. Next we have Treasure Island, which is probably one of the most iconic pirate stories ever, and I read it for the first time recently and it was really enjoyable. I very rarely feel the pain of classics not being able to be fully experienced because they're classics and because they're part of pop culture, so spoilers are just everywhere. I, for whatever reason, have avoided spoilers for almost all classics, and every time I've gone into a classic, I have been able to properly experience it. Not so with Treasure Island. There were certain things that are too pop culture-y, I guess, that took away some of the big reveals, but it was still a really great story. This is a lovely adventure about a boy named Jim who, through a set of circumstances, finds himself in a high-stakes, very intense situation with pirates. He has to use his luck and his cunning to get out of it. There's a lot of twists and turns along the way, and it was just so much fun to read. Next book on the list is Frenchman's Creek. We're definitely taking a shift in this one because this is more of an adventure slash romance, which I wouldn't think is the kind of pirate story that I like, but Daphne du Maurier, man, she can make me like stuff I shouldn't like. This is about a woman who, her and her kids go to visit one of their other manors by themselves, and it turns out that there is a crew of French pirates that have docked in her area, and she is not fully happy with her life. So she decides to go exploring and makes friends with these pirates. That's a pretty simplistic way of putting it. Anyway, she kind of becomes one of them. She has adventures and it's so much fun. Du Maurier can write her books in the most atmospheric way where I feel like I've stepped into the story with her, and I live for that, especially since I enjoy pirate stories so much. Feeling like I'm there, feeling like I'm a part of the crew is just excellent. I do have dedicated reviews for all three of these books that I just mentioned. They'll be linked in the description with the affiliate links. Next is By Sea and Sky. So this is, I believe, a self-published book about sky pirates. The main character, ooh, it's been a minute. I would say that this book is the opposite of Frenchman's Creek in that it is not atmospheric. It is a fast-paced, really fun story, but I would say that I'd say that it's a solid first book. I haven't continued the series yet. I hope that the series goes a lot deeper. This is a really fun take on pirates. There's a husband and wife dynamic that I really enjoyed. And overall, it was a really fun first book that needed a lot more depth to it. So I need to see how the rest of the series goes before I can say that I enjoy the series. But if you're looking for a light, fast-paced, fun, different kind of pirate story, this is definitely worth looking into. Next, I have Red Seas Under Red Skies. That's right, I waited until this deep into the video to bring up this series. This is my favorite series, and Red Seas Under Red Skies is the second book in the series. The first book is not pirate-esque. So the setup of the series, the first book is a band of orphans, I guess I'll call them, who band together to be swindlers and thieves, and in book one we get a lot of their backstory, a lot of them coming together, as well as them trying to pull off this really elaborate heist. Book two is largely focused on the consequences from book one, and one of those consequences is that they're blackmailed into becoming pirates. And it's excellent. We learn with them how to become pirates and how to man a ship. We deal with the issues of seasickness and myths and lore of what will keep you lucky on the sea, and then we actually get to see them on the sea, and it's great, and it was so much fun. Plus, it's a crew of people that's just so easy to love. Next, I have One Piece, which I am currently reading through. This is a very long series, and a lot of people tell me that they're intimidated to get into it because of how long it is, which I get, but at the same time, manga can be read so fast. It goes by so much faster than a book. So while yes, the series is long, it's really... just read it. One Piece is an absurdist take on piracy. It's a world that has a lot of emotional depth with a different type of stakes than what we're used to seeing in novels. Luffy, our protagonist, is childlike and doe-eyed and silly and goofy, but so intensely loyal to his crew. The crew of people that we do get together, at least at the point that I'm at in the series, their dynamics amongst each other are incredible. They play by their own set of rules with their own version of morality. There is plenty of thieving and pillaging that goes on, plenty of fights, and it's fun. It's really fun, but it's also very surprisingly deep, and the more and more you get to know the crew, the more you can't live without them. It's lighthearted and silly, but also so emotionally intense at times, and I love it. Next book on this list is On Stranger Tides, which is a book that I have not read in the time that I've had this channel. I read it before this channel was a thing, so over 5 years ago. So I don't remember it super well. I do remember that I enjoyed it so much. It features real historical figures like Blackbeard and several others that I'm forgetting now, as well as fictional pirates, and I remember loving how they didn't work together or did work together. I remember loving the twists and turns in this story, and I just remember feeling like a pirate coming out of it. I felt like this was the future for me. I also remember it being an absolute page turner. I could not put this book down. I don't remember the plot very well at this point. I remember that they had to learn skills to become a crew, to come together, and there was a big focus on that. I also remember that magic is a pretty essential part of this story, and it's something along the lines of one of the pirates wanting to resurrect his wife, and by doing so, and in order to do this, he has to remove her soul from her body, and there's a lot going on around that. And I just remember being so on the edge of my seat, reading about these characters attempting to pull off this feat. I actually plan on rereading this pretty soon because I remember loving it so much when I read it, but it's so foggy in my mind now. Now a couple of books that I didn't completely love but I still want to put on this list because I could see other people liking it. The first one is The Daughter of the Pirate King. This is a young adult pirate story. What I remember of this story is that the protagonist is obviously the daughter of a pirate, and she's looking for an ancient and very valuable map. So she allows herself to be captured by another pirate crew so that she can infiltrate, pillage, steal the map. And I remember loving the concept, but being disappointed by how focused it ended up being on romance instead, and also disappointed that one of the big mysteries, who her mother is, was spoiled by the title of the next book, Daughter of the Siren Queen. And I always said I was going to continue the series, even though book 1 ended up not having enough focus on piracy and too much focus on romance. And because, you know, sirens, but I never did continue. This is still a series still a book that I overall enjoyed. It just wasn't the kind of pirate tale that I was looking for. Look at me being a hypocrite. I loved Frenchman's Creek so much, but Du Maurier, like I said, can make me love stuff I shouldn't love. And the other one that I'll recommend that it didn't really fully work for me, but I could definitely see people loving, is called The Assassin's Curse. It kind of had the same problem for me that Daughter of the Pirate King had, in that it was about this girl who wanted to be a pirate, wanted to man her own ship, wanted to be her own pirate's captain, her own ship's captain, but instead her parents married her off to another pirate clan, and instead of her being able to be the captain and run her own ship, now she has to be the second in command to this guy who's kind of an idiot. So she has this problem. But again, romance kind of took over the story. It was a really cool concept. I would have been interested, but it didn't end up working out for me because I wanted just pirates. I still got some pirates though, so I still enjoyed myself. Now let's talk about some pirate books that are on my TBR. First and foremost, which I mentioned in, will be mentioned in tomorrow's video, is Pirate Latitudes by Michael Crichton. So Michael Crichton wrote the Jurassic Park book right there, as well as Timeline, which I've also read, and I've been wanting to read more of his books for a long time now. I'm on a pirate kick, so I'm going to be reading Pirate Latitudes, which is the last book that he wrote before he died, and it was actually published after his death. I don't know a lot about it other than my friend Alec sent it to me before we were friends. Hey Alec, how's it going? And he said that he's nervous that I won't like it because it's very piratey. Really piratey, and he's afraid it'll be a bit much for me. So I'm really excited about it because a lot of the books that I read are not piratey enough for me. So it's either going to be awesome or it's going to be terrible, and I will hold him personally responsible. But I will be reading that one really soon if y'all want to read it too, and I'll have a review up soon where we can all discuss. Also on Stranger Tides, which is the one I mentioned earlier with the guy trying to take his wife's soul out of her body so that he can resurrect her, and an excellent crew of pirates. I really, really, really want to reread that, so that's very high on my list of things that I plan on reading soonish. And two other pirate books that are a little bit less piratey. I have two Peter Pan retellings that I'm pretty excited about. Peter and the Star Chasers. It says, treacherous battles with pirates, foreboding thunderstorms at sea, and evocative writing immerses the reader in a story that slowly and finally reveals the secrets and mysteries of the beloved Peter Pan. I have not read very many Peter Pan. Actually, I don't think I've ever read any Peter Pan retellings because I love the story so much. I don't really want people to mess with it, but I feel ready for a darker side of Peter Pan because the Peter Pan of the story is very dark. So I kind of want to lean into that a little bit more. And that also brings up the other Peter Pan retelling that I will read someday, but it's much lower on my TBR, and that's The Child Thief, which is definitely a horror Peter Pan about him snatching children from their beds and a lot of very dark things. I have had friends read it that have told me a little bit about the content inside, so I'm not in a hurry to read it because I am afraid it's going to be a little bit too dark for me. So we'll see. Right now, I'm not ready to go there. Anyway, those are some recommendations for some pirate stories that I have personally enjoyed. I would love recommendations in the comments section if you've read excellent pirate tales please let me know about them because I am a pirate. Reading books lets me live lives that I wouldn't have been able to live otherwise, and lately I've been living life as a pirate and I've been very happy about it. Check out my Patreon if you feel like it. I'm there all the time. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you again soon. Bye.